Welcome back to Universal Balance's video on essential oils and events coming up. Because we just had our open house.
You did.
Yeah,
You did.
yeah, and it was a slow take on people coming up, but it was really well organized, and we were really excited about what we had to offer here. So hopefully you guys will jump on board and begin to filter in slowly.
And they are.
Yeah.
People have been asking
Yeah.
about the website and events that we have coming up, and so we're learning to how to,
Yeah.
do all that and make it visible and clear so that people can sign up and come to workshops and ceremonies. So
Yeah, it's one step at a time, and our website will be up and alive actually today, this afternoon. So that's Sunday, whatever day it is, October 1st. Is it October 1st? Yeah, all right.
Yes. Like, I don't know what day it is.
Yeah. So welcome to fall. We want to talk a little bit about just the transition into fall. There's a lot of things that happen. The days get shorter, the nights get longer, and we begin to get affected by the lack of sunlight and just the change in being able to go inside and be more internally focused. And sometimes that can be rough for people because we like to be out and active and in the sunlight, and it's shifting and changing.
It's a huge struggle to take that pause.
It is.
Yeah.
So we're wanting to talk a little bit about 3 oils that might help just kind of help you sink back into yourself and enjoy the transition from light into dark, so that we can come around again to the light in the spring.
And start doing that integration from everything that we pulled in, that we've built and created through the summer, even in the spring, pulling it all together, turning inward and sort of looking at what we need to be doing personal work wise. It's a really powerful and potent time of the fall, and you look, nature is doing it all around you. The trees are literally shedding their leaves. They're pulling all of their energy into their roots to do the internal work so that when the next season comes around, well, not winter, but in preparation for winter, to do even more deep work. But when spring and everything comes around, they're ready. They have the energy to bloom and new leaves and new life and new growth. So,
and when we take a look at what fall, if we allow ourselves to ride that wave with nature and notice that fall is really about, we have Halloween, we have, which is really a ceremony around honoring our ancestors, because at this point the veils between the worlds are really thin, and we have this opportunity to communicate with our ancestors more clearly. So it's kind of really important to be able to set clear boundaries to be able to talk with our ancestors so that we're not swept in with their emotions or our own emotions or anybody else's emotions, which is a good segue into the oil of clove that we're going to be talking about.
Yes, I love it. Such a good fall oil. I love it.
Yeah, my grandmother used to take oranges and poke cloves in them and hang them in the closet to kind of keep everything smelling fresh.
Love it.
So clove has that quality about being able to kind of keep that smell, and it's a boundary type of thing, right? Even the smell, because clove can be really have a pungent smell to it.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely warm and spicy. I believe it's like a base note. So when you're like blending oils, it's like this sultry, warm sort of smell. And it is the oil of boundaries, by the way. Segue into clove, because it is about boundaries and really helping people to be a little bit more firm in their saying no and what is on their plate. And I love this saying. I can't remember where I heard it from, but it was your yes will only be as strong as your no, right? So we have to have that strength in saying no and knowing that it's all good and it's going to be okay, and that at the end of the day we're still loved.
Right, exactly. So clove is a great way to create that boundary and be able to not be a pushover and to feel firm in our ability to say no and set limits for ourselves, which is great to do in the fall because it's about shedding and coming in and internally focusing. So we're going to be limited in what we have the energy to do. Setting boundaries with kids, right? It's an important thing to do.
It's also really good for igniting that soul fire.
Yeah.
Like really, you think about like the winter and the fall months, it's really like, we need that fire to burn bright, that fire of discernment, of boundaries, to light the way to do the deep soul work that we need to do. It's really powerful for igniting that soul fire.
So all right, go ahead and go, baby. It's about empowering So it's about being able to state things really clearly, like even with dealing with kids, to be able to set that boundary of like, no, I'm busy right now, and to be able to, when they kind of try to weasel their way in and say, I need to do this, I need to do that, to be able to say, okay, yes, you need to do that, and be able to be clear. So as the family therapist myself and doing a lot of parent coaching, it's really important. I think Clove can be really helpful in that manner too, for ourselves as parents, to be able to just remember that it's okay for us to say no, that our children actually need to learn to say no before they say yes. So the book that I also wanted to talk about a little bit, that we're actually getting a lot of this information from, is The Emotions of Essential Oils.
Yeah.
It's really a wonderful book. I highly recommend that you take a look at it. This is the fifth edition.
It's really helpful.
Yeah,
with
it is.
The emotional properties that the oils have, which is helping and being a support system for balancing emotions.
Tamira will put it at the end there as far as where you can, the website for this book.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon and another website. I'll have to look and see.
Yep. So
that is Clove, which is awesome.
Yes.
So in the fall, we want to set those boundaries to be in place to do the really deep work that we need to do. And the next thing that we want to do is have gratitude.
Right, have a lot of gratitude, because when we say no, we may not be well received.
Exactly.
We need to have a lot of gratitude.
Yeah.
So the oil of gratitude is spikenard.
Yeah,
spikenard. Which is and that's the oil that gives us true appreciation for and encouraging the soul to surrender and accept life exactly as it is. So, that's important as we move into fall, as we move into self-reflection. We need to accept where we're at every given moment. We need to accept how life is at this moment. We need to have a lot of gratitude for it.
Yeah, and to do that requires us to let go of our anger.
Yeah.
Our blame, our finger pointing. We really have to let all of that go in order to be grateful.
For that victim mentality of like, it's just not going to work, or this isn't going to happen, or I'm not doing it well enough, right?
Yeah. So it really calls you to let that go, to step into gratitude, to let go of the expectations, because when you bring your expectations, you're bringing all of your baggage, all of your trash with you, and that those are shaped around your beliefs and so your experiences. And so when you bring those, I've found personally, I've been working with that, bringing my expectations really dampens my experiences, because I have this filter of how things should be, and when they don't turn out that way, I don't. It's really hard to connect and to have gratitude, because I came expecting something else and got something else, and this message that has been coming is, expectations run the chance of costing you everything. Appreciation costs you nothing.
That's right.
You don't have to bring any baggage with appreciation. I mean, I can go to the art museum having no experience with art and just appreciate the beauty of it, and not like, I thought it was going to be. And
it's really easy to get caught up in what it should be, what we want it to be, what would, should, and could, and oh my gosh, all the things that could happen. And I think jumping back to Clove, I think that's where it sets those really clear boundaries of just being able to sort of say, I'm going to accept where I'm at this given moment. And then the spikenard is going to help really sort of set the intention of, I'm going to deepen the meaning of where I'm at right now and have a lot of gratitude for it. And that kind of leads us into the third one, which is kind of a nice mix here, which is black pepper. And black pepper is the oil of kind of unmasking. So when you set those boundaries with Clove, and you're able to kind of deepen into accepting where you are and have a lot of gratitude for it, then we have the luxury of unmasking what it is that we're really sitting with, right?
Doing the mask off.
Having that vulnerability, and that's sometimes really scary. And vulnerability becomes a lot easier to do when we have those clear boundaries of who we are, what we're all about, and that we know our limits and we're able to say no. And then we're going to deepen ourselves into accepting and having a lot of gratitude for how life is. And then that allows us to kind of unmask and have that vulnerability and step into that vulnerability. Which then gives us, and that's kind of like, I think about that as, have curiosity. Be really curious about like, wow, what is this that I'm unmasking here? Like, what is this, right?
Who
is this? What am I?
The layers that you hide behind, peeling it all back is really a beautiful practice. And when you begin to pull up all of the repressed things, there's a lot of liberation. I mean, it's scary, but there's a lot of liberation, and being anchored in gratitude is just like,
that's kind of like, that's the shield of protection.
yeah.
You know, having gratitude is just kind of like, you can't go wrong with having that shield of protection of gratitude. So when you have, when you can think of nothing else to do, just speak your gratitude. When you're looking at your kid and you're like, I'm about to punch their little head off, and I don't know what to do, you're just going to say, I am so grateful for this opportunity to go deeper into myself and unmask what it is that's making me feel so frustrated with whatever, or so grateful, or so scared, or so whatever the feeling is.
Yeah. And through gratitude, we learn to hold space.
Yeah.
For those things that we unmask about ourselves, which are oftentimes, maybe undesirable thoughts or like behaviors that we have, and we repress them because we have this fear of not being loved and accepted.
Right,
and so that requires the vulnerability and intimacy for you to step in and say, self, I see you. Like, I hold that space for you. I'm still me. Yeah. And acknowledging it and working through it is really, really sweet and really powerful. And fall is the perfect time.
Fall's the perfect time, and and I keep bringing up the kids, but they've just gone back to school, and now they're kind of right in the midst of the first semester, and stuff's going to hit the fan now because the honeymoon period of going back to school is kind of over, and we're getting into our routine, and the nights are getting darker, and and so forth. And our kids are going to trigger our own issues around, I have to be good, or I have to be perfect, or I have to do this. And so if you take the opportunity just to speak your gratitude and just take a moment to have that expansiveness, that allows curiosity and unmasking to take place. And I think what black pepper also does, because when you think about it, it's going to make you sneeze, right? It's an invigorating type of thing. It kind of like pulls that energy. It's like that heat. That allows us to have that motivation to unmask. So, so it's not only the oil of unmasking, but it's the oil that also kind of ignites the fire and kind of like, makes you sneeze and wake up that part of you, like, wow, what is this that's inside of me?
It's really powerful. Again, like that soul fueling, soul fire to keep it burning really bright. Yeah, and it's just a really great time. What better time than Thanksgiving?
Right. Or Halloween. A lot of candy. Thanksgiving coming up. Christmas. Ooh, we'll be here before you know it.
Right. Let's unmask. Let's do all this work. Now, you probably don't want to do that at the Thanksgiving dinner table. But
I'm going to do some beforehand, though.
Yeah, beforehand. And that might put you in a better place if holidays are a really rough time for you. Is to take that time now that we transition into doing this work and doing the unmasking work and being anchored in gratitude. And all of that, having boundaries in place so that when people come or you go visit, your boundaries are set. Boom.
And you have a lot of gratitude for whoever everybody is, and then you are able to, have that, be able to, unmasking doesn't mean you have to be like throw it all out and hang out the dirty laundry with everything, right? It's just a matter of unmasking. Really is about self-reflection, about like, we get to unmask it and have a sense of curiosity and kind of go, what is this that I'm looking at here? What's happening? What's coming up for me? Which is a good segue into all the events that we have coming up that might help you, be able to set those boundaries, have some gratitude, and be able to do some unmasking. So.
Yeah.